and I'm the host of Trauma to Triumph. Today's topic is how to heal your body and keep it at its optimal with food. Our guest speaker today is Lauren Martin. She has a BA from the University of Chicago, where she studied communication and psychologist. She then becomes fascinated with mind-body connection, and she becomes certified as holistic nutrition consultant and helping people how to heal depression and anxiety with nutrition. So please welcome Lauren Martin. How are you so far?
I'm good. I'm good. Enjoying Friday. Happy to get started with the weekend.
Can you share with us, how do you heal yourself with food?
So after a long battle of struggling with my own depression and anxiety, I fell down this whole rabbit hole of learning about this gut-brain connection. And so I found out actually that 90% of our serotonin is housed in our gut lining, which is our happy hormone. And then 50% of our dopamine, our reward hormone, housed in our gut lining. And also that the root cause of anxiety and depression is inflammation in the brain, which can be healed by food and understanding the essential different amino acids and different minerals and vitamins and all that kind of stuff, and how when we actually can utilize food as fuel, we can kind of set ourselves free from the confines of our mind. So I was struggling with depression since the early age of 13 is when I was diagnosed. So it was basically my whole life. I always felt very confused and trapped in my body. And I realize now as I grow older, all this anxiety that I didn't know how to put into the world. And this was then taken out on my body. So I struggled with eating disorders. I struggled with, addictions. I struggled with all this manipulation of how to control my body. And it was at my lowest point when I didn't know what else to do with my life, that I then turned to nutrition as a way of just some kind of control. And so I went through that whole journey to really just study nutrition and understand that. And even though I was eating all the right stuff, I still really felt bad. I became obsessed with food, and I was eating all the right foods and really stuck on this health hamster wheel. And my bloating, and at the same time, I've had IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome, my entire life. And I had no idea these two things were connected, right? I didn't think my bloating and my constipation was also due to the backup and depression I was feeling in my brain. And after studying about the microbiome is when I started to learn about this gut-brain connection. I was like, well, isn't that interesting? And then went down and started studying about this whole gut-brain connection. And I realized that when you have low neurotransmitters in your gut, that's usually a sign of constipation and backup. And then when you have low neurotransmitters in your brain, that's what we call depression. And then when you have high neurotransmitters in your brain, that's what we call anxiety. And that also shows when you have high neurotransmitters in your gut, that's when you see diarrhea and bloating. And this is something I see all the time when I'm working with clients and what I understood about myself. So once I was able to really approach gut health, because I was on a mission to heal my IBS as well and my mental health, but I was looking at them separately as opposed to together. So as soon as I started to utilize what nutrients my body was really missing and the inflammation that I was feeling, and also doing the mental health work and putting those two into a nice little package, which is what I teach people now through Healing to Happy, is how I was able to, I don't take supplements, I don't take medications anymore. I only use food as medicine, which is really just a beautiful gift. It's giving you your power back, which is really nice.
So how long did it take you to get it back?
Oh, goodness. So I was at war with my body. It was about a decade of me being at war, and then actually getting into nutrition and studying was about 5 years. And then the last 3 years, I've been on no medications, no anything. It took about 2.5 years to fully commit. Because to be honest, you're going to hit roadblocks. I didn't know what I was doing. I hadn't really heard much about people doing these different approaches. I just knew with a background of having a disordered relationship with food, I couldn't go do these gut healing protocols, right? They're telling you to eliminate all these foods and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I can't really do that with an eating disorder. That's just triggering. And so I wanted to come up with a different approach. And so it took me longer, obviously, because I had to face plant, I don't even know how many times, to try different methods to finally figure out something that worked for my lifestyle and that I can then teach other people.
That is so wonderful. Yes, mind-body connection. You mentioned about neurotransmitters. The center, what would that be? Or balance?
We have hundreds of different neurotransmitters, right? And the fact is, as many as we have in our spinal cord, we have going through this thing called the wandering nerve. Okay, so it's the vagus nerve that goes from the brain to the gut. And this thing is in constant communication all the time. And so what we don't realize is that we're taking medications and stuff to balance out chemical imbalances in our brain, when really it's just a body imbalance. And when you can get it stabilized, because your body's sole purpose is to keep you in balance, is to keep you in homeostasis. And so when something's off, it will show signs of that. And that's why when you have anxiety, or when you have depression, or when you have a food intolerance, or when your skin is flaring up, that's your body's way of being like, hey, something is wrong and I'm not in balance here. And as soon as you can answer that, being like, okay, so what do you need to actually get back in balance? So it's not having the higher the better. It's you want to keep that level, so that you feel in control. Because if you have high levels of anxiety, you're just like freaking out. And then if you have low levels of depression, you don't want to do anything. So when you can elevate them to meet in the center and let the body know that it's safe, it can truly heal. And then you can go about having free and abundant.
Can you have me clarify balance? What would be?
When you're in balance, that's just when you have stable mood levels, when you have natural forms of energy, when you're not suffering from cravings, and you can have a healthy weight balance, and you don't have to be chasing all these kind of things that we see a lot of things happening in this modern world, right? Like we're either chasing a supplement, we're all trying different diets, we're having mood swings like crazy. We can't get out of bed in the morning. We need several cups of coffee in the morning and then several glasses of wine in the evening. Like it's all of these things that we think are quote unquote normal, but they're not normal. They're just common. And if you can actually unravel that grip of what we think is normal and release yourself to what your body is actually trying to tell you. And that comes from stillness, that comes from body awareness, that comes from like what I have the girlies in my programs do is like this mindful gut diary. And it's not just what you're putting into your body, it's how is your energy levels? What are your moods like? What's your temperament like? What's your mindset process? And when all of that, like if you think of the healthiest person like they're happy, they have good relationships, they are a good partner, they're very present, like they're energized, they're happy, right? Like that's the midpoint. Those are the people that are in that kind of homeostasis, and that's what you want to pick. That's the goal of life, right?
You have to be aware of your emotions and your feeling in your body. Everything that goes within your body, you have to be aware of that. There's no measurement. That measurement is your gut feelings and your energy. So you need to be aware of that, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Rather than somebody's telling you. That would be more confusing because you are unique, your own system. And when we're aware of our feelings and our moods, our energy, that's when we have to kind of step back and reassert what is going on here, right? Look on the daily basis. What are they intaking? Can you kind of say?
Yeah. So like what I will normally do when I'm working with, say, one-on-one. So I have one-on-one course that I do with people. And then I have also a self-paced program where I teach people how to do it. And so if I'm working with people one-on-one, it'll be this week-long nutrition tracker and lifestyle tracker that they'll fill out for me, because it's not just the food you're putting into your body, right? Like it's also your lifestyle choices. It's also because our body isn't just influenced by this food that we're eating. It's also the stress levels that we have that cause inflammation. It's also, are we moving? Are we breathing? Where are we breathing? What's our social interactions, right? So looking at all of this stuff, and then I'll come in and I'll tailor different parts of our nutrition to meet that, and also lifestyle practices. So we'll be looking at, okay, maybe you're not getting enough of the right nutrients, because like for me, for example, I was eating quote unquote the right things, but my body wasn't absorbing it because I wasn't eating the right things for my unique body. And so looking at that and coming in and being like, okay, so I wasn't getting enough omega-3 fatty acids, I wasn't getting enough protein, my blood sugar levels were all over the roof, I was consuming too many carbs, too many fats, like it was just all over the board. So obviously my blood sugar levels were going all over. And if your blood sugar levels are going all over and rising and falling, that's when you see mood swings. That's when you see people get anxious. That's when you see people get depressed, because it's basically like your blood sugar is just having a little party on a roller coaster going like, wee, woo, wee, like freaking out. And so when you can use nutrition as a tool to help you maintain that balance, you get your power back. Like, you don't need to keep running to the doctors or seeking out supplements or Googling, like, what is wrong with me? You know what's wrong. Like, you know how to heal that. And you're like, oh, like the other day when I was feeling like anxious, I was like, oh my goodness. And then I was like, oh, like I haven't had any protein today. There we go. And had some protein and it was back to being normal. When before, if I was anxious or something, it would spiral and I would think I needed to go take a supplement or have a glass of wine or like do something to escape that emotion, when really it was like, I just needed chicken. Like,
So you kind of learn your body, what your body needs.
yeah.
Now, what can we take on a daily basis right now to cut out the unhealthy, what we call food may not be food because it doesn't have the nutrition that the body needs to operate as optimal?
So, I mean, this is all up to the individual as well, but it's something I call crowding out, because when you are depressed, you're not thinking of nutrition. You're not thinking of, oh, I should probably eat my vegetables today. You're like, I'm either not hungry at all. Like, I remember I was 30 pounds underweight because my anxiety and depression was so bad. Like, eating was not something I wanted to be doing. It was just not on my forefront. So it's really starting with the basics, because when you are at your low, it's like, okay, what's the simplest right step for me to take today? And that's why I always start with smoothies with my clients. And it's like, all right, start adding, like, you can still have your pizza, burgers, fries, whatever it is that is your comfort food. You can still have that. That's okay. And that's why I don't believe in these gut healing protocols and gurus and all that other stuff that is out there, because it's just restriction and all whatever. But I'll be like, okay, so start with the smoothie. And then you work your way up from there, because if you're adding more stuff in, slowly you don't have room to be eating all the other stuff, right? Like, and you start to crowd these other things out, but that's all at an individual level. Like, could you add a plate of vegetables at dinner? Does that sound appealing to you? Is that something you can actually keep up? Then do that, right? But like, for me, what I've seen with the hundreds of women that I've worked with is starting with a smoothie, and that's where a bunch of greens are. And you look at like what supplements or what kind of food can you start to supplement in there and get the essential profile of what helps the mind body. And that's what I give in Gut Recharge, is like all the things you can be throwing into smoothies to help you boost your moods and stabilize your blood sugar levels, and going from there and then working your way up. Like, it doesn't need to be a diet makeover, Whole30 keto starting tomorrow thing. Like, if you're depressed and anxious, that's the last thing you want to do. Like, you want something that's easy and doesn't keep you in the kitchen for hours, and is something you enjoy consuming, and, it just hits the profile, the nutrient profile that you need, the very basics,
That is a good start, right? Smoothie or juice, right? Juice?
Yeah.
Whatever you prefer, but those are give you the mineral, the nutrition, your body really needs to kind of repair itself. Because if it doesn't have those ingredients, it doesn't know what to do, correct?
Exactly. And like, looking at your protein intake, like, that is a really big one that people don't pay attention to. They're like, and what drives me nuts about all the gut guru things, they're like, drink more water and eat more fiber. I'm like, actually look at your blood sugar levels. I'm like, are you eating protein throughout the day? And we don't realize that, and how much we need that to keep our blood sugar levels stable, which, like I said earlier, keeps our mood stable. And so really focusing in, okay, get a good protein powder that you like. I personally like bone broth protein because it helps to repair your gut lining, and it also has collagen, good for your hair, skin, and nails, and your gut. And adding that into a smoothie. And it's that simple, and making sure that when you are eating, there's protein on your plate, and working your way from there. Like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It's just like, are you eating protein? Are you drinking a smoothie? You're good. Go on to have your burger and fries and whatever else brings you comfort in that day, as long as you hit those pillars.
Animal protein is not bad. Like, we think the animals are, naturally fed or naturally raised. It has all the things that our body needs as well. As long as we don't eat too much of it, but if you eat high quality, then we're going to obtain all the things that animals had into our body that our body needs as well. Do you agree with that?
100%. Yeah. So, like, actually for me, I was vegan for, I don't even know how many years, and then vegetarian after that. And then it wasn't until I started consuming meat again because I wasn't getting the full amino acid profile that we need from animal meat, But if you are eating animal meats, it is the one thing that it's not cheap to get good quality, but it does matter. Like you can do with fruits and vegetables and stuff, you can clean them and whatever, but like you want to be getting high quality meats and you want to be consuming that. And like consuming like organ meats and all that kind of stuff. Like we miss out on all the stuff that our ancestors used to be eating that are so nutrient rich and are so delicious to your brain. Like I can't tell you how much my body, my hormones, my health started to thank me after I added that back in. Like, and I'm not saying like go total carnivore diet. Like, I mean, that's just a whole other profile, but it's getting that good quality stuff. And I mean, being invested in your health and how you're nourishing yourself, like that is the highest form of self-respect that you can do, and just being aware, you know?
Yeah, I agree. The more care we take of our body and our mental and our physical, then we don't have to pay later. I also heard this, that diseases are caused from internally from years or decades before its appearance, right, in our physical body. So if we can just prevent it from happening rather than wait for years and decades when it appears to us, that's when it can be really costly. It can cost all our earning money, or it can cost our lives or the quality of our remaining life, which is not something that any of us want to be, right?
Exactly. The shortcuts that you're doing now, you're going to pay for in the long run at the end of the day. And so if you can invest the time now, and it doesn't, like I said, it could be as simple as starting with a smoothie. Like it doesn't have to be anything major. It's just really giving those time periods and making that investment into your health now, so that down the line you're not spending hundreds of thousands, or like you're around to play with your grandchildren and you're there to make memories and you're not stuck being winded. Like it feels so good when you've been trapped by your mind for so long to not then be trapped by your body. Like you have them meet together so that you can feel abundant and have that kind of livelihood that I think everyone wants, you know? When you feel like you're in control of what you're putting on your plate, like it feels good when you move your body. It feels good when you're making healthy choices. And I know from experience, when you're swimming in your slumps of sadness and you're anxious and you're confused and you're not making the best choices, you kind of do that to yourself on purpose. Like you're choosing comfort foods, but then when you eat that comfort food, you then have that like food hangover. Like you have guilt for what you ate and you're not feeling very empowered by that. And it perpetuates that depression cycle, right? As opposed to being like, oh, I'm going to actually shift this thought pattern. So first thing in the morning, before I reach for my cereal or a croissant or like a chocolate, whatever it is that people normally eat in the morning, and then they don't feel good. Instead, I'm going to have this smoothie. Like you're setting yourself up for a better tone of the day. Even if you have a burger and fries later, like you're like, great, I still got that smoothie. And it just helps you feel more empowered in your health, as opposed to being like, I ate that pizza again, I ate that pasta, I ate the cheese, like, and just having that perpetual cycle of just feeling low. It's just taking that second pause in the morning to rewire one habit. And then you feel a little bit more empowered that day.
Can you walk us through how's your day food like? Morning, lunch?
Yeah. So I wake up, I meditate, workout, journal, all that kind of stuff. And I have my coffee out on my veranda, on my porch, and just like take it all in. And I have full sugar in my coffee. I have coconut sugar. I have healthy fats. Because if you are someone that has anxiety and drinking black coffee on an empty stomach, like your adrenals are going to go through the roof and you're like anxious and can't have coffee. So I make sure to add the healthy carb and the healthy fat because it slows the process of the coffee.
What does that mean?
So I add coconut sugar for the healthy carb, and then I have coconut milk for the healthy fat. So then that helps so it doesn't spike my cortisol levels and give me anxiety. So it's just like a steady way to consume coffee that won't set off my adrenals. It's lower glycemic, so it doesn't set off too much sugar rush that you'll get. Yeah, so I'll have that. That'll be after my breakfast, actually. So I have a green smoothie as well, which I literally drink the same thing like every day. I have food first so that you don't get the adrenaline spike. So I'll have the smoothie and then I'll have my coffee. And then I will have lunch. And that's generally like I'm busy. So it's honestly like a wrap almost every day. Like I throw a whole bunch of vegetables into a wrap with some protein and eat that and like go for a walk between meetings, and then I'll come back to the office, and then I have a snack.
All the vegetables?
Yeah. So I'll do like
in there?
a chicken usually. Today I had tuna. Sometimes it's bison, sometimes it's some fish. It's whatever I meal prepped over the weekend, honestly.
Okay.
And then I will have a snack, which is a raw carrot salad that I walk my girlies through. It helps with estrogen balancing and helps to detoxify the liver and all that kind of stuff. Because little nerdy bit about raw carrots, it has a fiber. Only raw carrots, not cooked carrot. It has a fiber that helps to bind to excess estrogen in the body. So I have this every single day. There's an entire study around it. You can look it up if you want. Look up raw carrot salad. I'll have that around 3 o'clock. And then I have dinner about 6:30.
Yeah. So we still at the lunch. So what do you drink with that?
I don't drink. I have like my giant water. Okay. I drink about 2 or 3 of these throughout the day. I don't drink any water while I eat because that messes with your digestive enzymes. So I don't drink. Yeah, so I don't drink 30 minutes before, and then I don't drink 30 minutes after eating because otherwise it just it messes with the digestive enzymes and you get a lot of bloating, or you tend to overeat because you're just eating too quickly. I put my phone away. I'm present. I don't have my laptop. I go out on my veranda and like sit, and I'm very present for the meals because otherwise you do eat too quickly. You're not absorbing the food. It's too much of a stress response. So the thing I teach my girlies is 4 deep belly breaths before, 4 deep belly breaths after. We're good. Like, I don't care how much you do it. Like,
at least be conscious about what you're eating. Be present and when you're choosing your food and enjoying it.
Exactly. And I mean, like, again, it goes back to the mindfulness. Like, it's a form of nourishment. It's a form of self-respect. It's a time you get with yourself, right? And this is why food is meant. I hate when people are just like, food is fuel and this is it. Get your macros in. I'm like, no. Like, it is a celebration of what you're doing with your body. Like, you get to give thanks to it. You get to be present. It's best shared with other people. Like, it's a celebration. It's all these kind of things. And you can, from someone like I feared food for 8 years of my life. Now, anytime I have food in front of me, I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm so blessed to have this food. Like, I'm here. I'm enjoying it. I'm present. I'm not gonna lie, that's not every day. Like, if I'm running in between meetings, like, that's not every day, but it's enough to just like breathe before, be aware that you're there, and then breathe after, because that also kicks up the digestive enzymes to help you digest your food, so that you can actually metabolize it. Starting somewhere small and moving from there and giving yourself radical permission to be human, but like taking a second and like, even if it is a burger that you're eating, just being like, wow, I'm so lucky to eat this burger. Like, I'm going to thoroughly enjoy this and I'm going to taste it, and not just like shove it in your mouth. And I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but like, you eat it so quickly, by all of a sudden you're like, where did it go? Like, how did I eat that so fast? Like, and so you can actually take a second and just be like, I'm going to savor this. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be fully present and enjoy this. It's like, again, it's the easiest form of self-respect you get to make 3 times a day.
If you eat slowly, it's a respect to our body, because if we try to shove it in, it's more stress to our body to do the work, right? Our system has to do more work because we're stuffing everything before it can digest.
Exactly. I always like make the analogy of like, if you don't give grace and you're not prepping your digestive enzymes to start getting, because digestion starts in the mouth. That's when you start to, it gets amylase, and that's when you're digesting proteins. So if you skip saliva, you're skipping that breakdown of those essential amino acids in your body, right? But also, it's like your body hasn't prepped, so all of a sudden food is coming down and your stomach is just like, whoa, what is this? Like, it's not ready for it. And it's all these undigested foods, which then leads to this whole plethora of like leaky gut or IBS or bloating or constipation or diet. It's all these kind of things. And it's really looking at, okay, so what is your eating habits? And that's why I was saying with the gut diarrhea work, it's also looking at what's happening outside of the plate. What's your eating habits like? What's your mindset and how this influences, and then giving you tips around that, because it's so important. You get the choice of 3 times a day, maybe more, 3 times a day to really nourish yourself and respect yourself and be present with yourself. Like, you're giving a gift to your body. How cool is it that your body turns a burger or a salad or whatever into fuel to fuel your cells? Then your cells repair your body. Like, how cool, how smart is your body to be able to do that? Like, that's really cool. I give a lot of gratitude for this like vessel. to turn a burger into molecules that will then help me thrive. That's awesome.
So your system, you're saying, is so crowding out is adding something a little at a time until you feel the difference and you just know, correct? You start adding more and more. Eventually, you will eliminate all the toxin and replacing all the good nutrients and proteins that your body craves for. Correct?
Exactly. And I mean, and like what I work people through in the gut recharge program, it's like a self-paced program. I'm walking them through that. It's the different minerals and nutrients that you can be adding in a simple way. So even if like you're cooking at home and you don't feel like cooking, there's simple meals around that, or like you're going out to eat and how to build plates around that. And like I said in the beginning, your body is always looking to keep itself in balance. It just needs the right tools to do that. And so it will detoxify itself. It will do all these things. You just have to give it the foundations to do that and trust that it will do that. Like we don't need to keep chasing supplements or detoxes or like all these different cleanses, especially like nowadays there's a new cleanse for everything. It's just really getting back to the foundations and the root of trusting that this awesome vessel will keep us aligned. And yes, there are different nutrients and vitamins and minerals and different kind of foods to add in, but it's nothing like that's super time consuming and like super sciencey and needing to eliminate your life for the next like 60 days, right? Like it's just little incremental changes that will lead you to that big result. I generally stick to my 3 meals. And then I'll have a snack at 3 p.m. And then I always have dessert. Like I'll have like some chocolate or I'll make my own like banana ice cream. Or right now, what do I have in my fridge? I made some like oatmeal bake brookie kind of protein bite things. But yeah, I mean, I generally like, I just listen to what my body wants. I'm not very strict on what it is.
So for those who don't cook, what do you suggest?
Yeah. So, I mean, eating out, again, like, what I teach the girlies is like the rule of 5 is I try, if something's in a package, I try and keep it around 5 ingredients and reading the label, knowing what is in it. Like if you look at a package and you're like, what is INS 614? Like that's not a real food. So sticking to that. And then I like in the course and in my online program, like I teach people what additives and emulsifiers and things that are sneaky in there and how you can kind of identify those, because those definitely cause inflammation to the gut, which then cause inflammation to the mind. So
do you find it more time consuming or stressful to read all these labels, or do you think just cook your own food?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I prefer to cook things.
You have slow cook, right? Pressure cook. You just dump everything in there, and it's so nice. It tastes a lot better than packaged food.
Yeah,
because it's fresh, right?
Yeah, it doesn't take that much time, and that's why like I do live cooking webinars. I have live cooking stuff. Like I teach people how to cook because we overcomplicate it. Like it really, you can throw a thing in a crock pot and like go to work and come back, and you're like, wow, I got dinner for the next like 4 days. This is awesome. Like it really doesn't take that much. It just takes a little bit of effort in the beginning. Like you have to change your pattern of what it is. But if you don't change your pattern, you're forever going to be stuck in the cycle that you're stuck in, right? Like you can't think tomorrow's going to be a different day when you're not changing anything. And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It could be just buying a crock pot and throwing food in it. Like it doesn't, or like a blender and making a smoothie. Like it doesn't have to be something major.
Yeah, it's so easy, but it tastes so much better. Even like for protein, fish or chicken, you just sprinkle a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, and you just dump it in the toaster, and it's just cook. And exactly. You do other things, everything is there. You just have to learn a new habit.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just taking the time to learn like 2 or 3 dishes. Yeah.
It's healing as well. It's time with yourself. It does bring some sort of energy within you when you do all these things. So it's something that you have to cultivate. And if you don't, then you're missing something that you don't know you're missing.
Yeah, it's like self-love, right? Like I loved it. One of my students actually went through the program. She was like, every time I eat it, I just feel my own love. And I was like, that is exactly it. Like you just like feel that energy of what you cook. Yes, okay. Sunday meal prep maybe isn't everyone's jam, but like if you're cooking dinner the night before, cook a little bit larger of a portion and bring the next one tomorrow for lunch. Like it's not, you don't have to be doing all that weighing food and all that kind of stuff you see on Instagram. It's like, no. But you can do something like that, and then the next day you're like, I feel like I'm eating love in a box. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's a learning skill. We all learn. We either learn early or we learn late, but as long as we're still alive, we can still learn.
And you get to dictate the way your life turns out, right? Like, as we were talking about earlier, like, you get to choose health. Like, you don't have to wait for illness to find you to start taking care of yourself, and like to feel that energy, to feel that freedom, to know what's going into your mouth. Like, yes, okay, it's all that kind of stuff, but if you're struggling with depression and you're struggling with anxiety and you're struggling with feeling connected to your body, you have that opportunity to connect 3 times a day. Maybe you don't choose all 3 of those meals, but like maybe you choose 1, and that's the time. And like for me, like I wanted to figure out how to make this easy, right? And so it was just like, cool, a smoothie. And I was like, that is so simple. Like, I'm just going to throw stuff in a blender, call it a day, be done with it. But that's a sign of self-care, right? And I feel that love in it, and I feel so much better when I do that. Like, and I have regular bowel movements, and I just feel more energized, and I just feel my skin looks better, my hair is healthier, like my body just felt so much better just by that one simple shift.
Okay, so we haven't gone through dinner yet.
Dinner, it goes in waves. I do quick little dinners, like I'll have a soup. At the end of the day, I'm fried. Like, I am on the phone all day long, and come dinner time, I'm like, I don't want to cook dinner at all. Like, this is the last thing I want to do, which is why meal prep, I do that on usually like Mondays. I'll just like batch cook. I love making stews. I cook a lot of stews. I go out to eat quite often. That's usually like when I have time to go see my boyfriend. So we'll go and grab some sushi. We'll go and we'll get like just like wraps or salads or pasta or burgers or whatever we're craving that day. Dinner is more so freedom. But if I'm cooking at home, it's usually, I love this like pumpkin pasta sauce thing. It's just so easy. I use just like pumpkin, nutritional yeast, some source of proteins, either an egg or chicken, and then I'll do some like konjac noodles, and I'll just make that up, and it's just like a little comfort hug in a bowl. So simple. Like, it's literally, it's just so simple, and I just throw it together, and I'm like, I'm done. My feet are up. I'm done for the day. Like, I love stir fries and stews and just like throw stuff in a pan, add some seasoning, and I'm like, wow, this is the best thing ever. When you get control of your nutrition, you also get control of your moods, and that's the biggest blessing, is when you don't feel like a prisoner inside your own mind. Like, you know what's going on. I knew the other day that, oh, like I didn't have enough protein today. And so to be able to eat that, as opposed to lashing out at my partner or having an emotional day or any of that stuff, it was like, oh, this is just where my baseline is at. And I know what to eat to do that. And I know how to feel. It's just giving you your power back, you know? Like, I don't know about you or anyone that's watching, but like when you're struggling with mental illness, like when you're struggling with depression, anxiety, any of the things, you don't feel like you have control over your emotions. You don't feel like you have control over your body. And so when you can understand how to really apply this and move forward, you get your control back, you get your power back. And in that, you have freedom. So you're getting back control of your emotions.
And that's all it started from, is our emotions. There are other angles too, but the first things that in our control is looking at things that we put in our system. Is it nutrition that we lacked? Eventually, you will know within your body, within your emotions and feelings, you will know eventually how to kind of create your own system.
Exactly. It's the awareness, it's the shifting, it's gaining it all back, right? From something that makes you feel so powerless and confused and lost, like going back to those times of feeling lost in my body and feeling lost in my soul. Really, like, nutrition was the way of welcoming myself back to me and feeling more life than I ever thought was imaginable. And so if anyone else can gain that back too, like that is my mission, right? To keep that simple, to keep that fun, to keep it realistic, and to help people find their way home.
Do you have anything else to add?
There's a lot of information out there right now, and so anyone that is watching this and is feeling lost and confused and like feeling overwhelmed by everything that's out there of how to heal and whatever, it's really just understanding. Find someone that works best for you, whether that is me, whether that is anyone else that comes onto this series. It's who resonates with you most, and then move from there. And don't try and do it all in one day.
Yes.
Take one step, these tiny little steps we choose consistently every single day are the ones that change the world. And like, that's all you have to focus on is that one step. Like I said, it could be a smoothie. Like, it doesn't have to be anything major and like cutting out all your, like, oh, I can't have gluten, dairy, soy, eggs, whatever. Like, it's like, okay, no, you can have whatever you want. It's picking one thing. And like, the beautiful thing of this gut and this brain is that they're always working to keep you alive and keep you safe. And so depression doesn't make you broken. Anxiety does not make you feel broken. Does not make you broken. Gut troubles does not make you broken. It is a signal from your body that something is off, and you cannot be at war with your body and win. You have to answer that with love and permission and grace and wanting to dive deeper of, oh, what is this symptom trying to show me? And not chasing that symptom, but chasing the solution or the root cause of what's happening. So, I mean, if any of that resonates with anyone that is tuning in, they can come check out me or my programs or any of that kind of stuff over at healingtohappy.com. And then I do have a fully self-paced program called Gut Recharge. And that's where people can kind of learn more about the whole gut-brain connection and that approach of the meals and the modules and the community support and live coaching and Q&As and all that kind of stuff. All the good stuff.
Yes. Great. So thank you again.